Did you go to Blockbuster or did they come to you?
No, we tried going to Blockbuster for months. We tried reaching out to them, but this was this ultimate. I mean, listen, we were doing $5 million a year. They were doing $6 billion a year.
Okay, so you were...
We had 150 employees. They had 60,000. That we were like a gnat, to them, to an elephant. That the tail flipped around. What's this thing buzzing? No interest in us whatsoever. It took months, and finally we got the call. And as luck would have it, we got the call. We were at a corporate retreat at a place called the Alisal Ranch. There's a city called Santa Barbara on the coast of California, pretty rural. Alisal Ranch is way back in the mountains. It's a dude ranch, horses. So we're on retreat. And you also know that in Silicon Valley that we're pretty casual. And when you're on retreat, you have to work at it to be even more casual. So all I had with me was shorts, T-shirts, thong sandals. That's all I had with me. And that's when Blockbuster calls, goes, "We'd like to see you tomorrow in Dallas." And I remember turning to Reed and going, "There's no way. We can't fly nonstop out of Santa Barbara. The time zones are different. We can't possibly get to Dallas by tomorrow." And so we did the prudent thing you do when you're $50 million in the hole, and we chartered a corporate jet. A rounding error, I think they call that. We fly to Dallas, go up to in the 27th, 28th floor of this massive glass and steel skyscraper into this huge cavernous conference room. There's a big hardwood table made of, I'm sure, out of some endangered Amazonian hardwood or something. It was horrendous, the whole thing. And I'm there in shorts and a T-shirt.
And your thong sandals.
And the sandals. And Reed, I was jealous. He had a Hawaiian shirt. He had buttons. Anyway, in come the Blockbuster guys, and we make our pitch. We go, we'll combine forces. You'll run the stores. We'll run the online business. We'll build a blended model, which our research has shown is a game changer. And everything will work out. And it was going good. They were asking good questions. They were leaning in. And we're going, okay, this is rolling. And then they asked the big question, how much? And of course, we'd rehearsed on the plane. And we figured we're $50 million in the hole, so $50 million. And there's this silence in the room. And I'm looking at Blockbuster execs trying to piece together what the reaction is. And it finally dawns on me they're trying to suppress laughter. They're trying to keep a straight face at the hubris that this little company, $50 million in debt, at the trough of the meltdown, could possibly be worth $50 million. So as you can imagine, meeting goes downhill pretty quickly after that. Long, quiet ride in the cab back to the airport, even quieter ride on the jet back to Santa Barbara. And I so profoundly remember sitting there on the plane, just my head down, like not talking, just thinking, I was so confident that if we just got the meeting, that this blended model was so self-evidently great that they'd save us. But now they weren't going to save us. They were going to compete with us. And we were in trouble.
Did they make you an offer?
No. They just rejected the $50 million offer. And, my dad, one of the things he sometimes would say to me is like, when I was struggling with some particularly nasty problem and came to him for the solution, he'd go, sometimes the only way out is through. That you got to take these problems and just go right at them. There's no way around. And this was such a classic case of that. There was no easy way out of this. The only way we were going to survive was to compete with them. And we had to put ourselves in a position we could do that. When we laid people off, we dropped entire lines of adjunct little businesses, completely focused it in and survived. And eventually, passed Blockbuster, and eventually Blockbuster went into bankruptcy.
I don't know how Blockbuster couldn't have just looked over and seen your business succeeding at some point and gone, okay, we've got $6 billion revenue a year. We'll just destroy them. will just, overpower them with advertising or something.
It's a big piece of innovator's dilemma. In their case, a couple things going on. Number one, imagine you are the CEO of Blockbuster. Okay,
A guy called John, wasn't it?
John Antioco. So you've got $6 billion coming in through your standard business model, which is serving these bricks and mortar stores all over the world. $6 billion. And someone comes to you and goes, we need to build an online component. And John goes, well, what do you think that could do in revenue the first year? And you go, $2 million. So would you say, okay, take our very best engineers, let's put them on this project? No. You go, okay, figure it out. And you could put the B team is on it. And of course it doesn't. Netflix wasn't a movie company. It was a software company. I mean, we had Silicon Valley. We had people who had spent their whole life building software. You can't compete with that. Even with their A team, it would have been challenging. But they put the B and the C team on it. And they did that a second time and then a third time. And finally, each time we're stronger and stronger and stronger. And eventually they go, we got to fix this. And they pick a team. They resource it adequately. They say, get out of the building. Go across town. Set up. Here's the money. Come after these guys. And it's a story which has not really been told very well, but they came really, really close to taking down Netflix. They were that blended model, which we knew was a killer. Which a blended model means you can rent from Blockbuster and you can either return it in the mail or you can return it at the store. Or you can go pick it up at the store or you can have it mailed to you. And we couldn't compete with that. We didn't have the stores. And it really, really came close to taking Netflix down until all of a sudden they had all kinds of unrelated corporate shenanigans that made them decide, change CEOs, we're going to de-resource this online business, and walked away from it.
I saw you talk about this on your Instagram recently, when John quit the business. So John was the CEO of Blockbuster, and him quitting the business for a variety of reasons is much of the reason that you think Netflix actually ended up not getting killed by Blockbuster.
Correct.
Can you explain that?
So, and I'm not going to get this entirely right, but there basically were people who were corporate raiders who would buy large amounts of a company's stock and take seats on the board, take multiple seats on the board, and begin to try and dictate things to make a company more short-term profitable. That happened to Blockbuster. And one of the acts they did was deny John Antioco's bonus.
He was the CEO of Blockbuster.
Yep. And he said, you can't do that. And they go, well, we're not going to pay you the bonus that you were promised in your previous agreement. And so he goes, well, in that case, I quit. And then they went to find a replacement, and they brought in a person who had all of their experience at retail stores, at convenience stores. And his vision was, we have 9,000 stores in almost every community in the country, in the world. Why aren't we selling gum and clothing? And what are we wasting money on this digital stuff? And this is super movie geeky, so pardon me for the segue. Steven Spielberg, who I'm sure you're familiar with, his film school project was a movie about a robot. And the robot operates kind of on a cost-benefit analysis. And there's the penultimate scene in the movie where the robot is chasing somebody. And he's getting closer and closer and he's closer. And he's just about, the robot's about to reach up and grab the person's ankle. And you see the sunk cost of the robot's time get to break even. And he stops and walks away. An instant before he grabs the person. That's what Blockbuster did. They were within seconds of grabbing us by the ankle and yanking us off the ladder when something happened unrelated to that, and they just turned and walked away, and we scampered to safety.
They lost focus.
Yep. So there's a lot of reasons. Blockbuster didn't go down because of Netflix only, but Blockbuster went down because they had a business model which was very, very difficult to change, and they didn't have the courage and the persistence to be willing to do the things that would have made it change.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.